Let's get ready to rumble.
Yes, we're back. It's episode 80 of the Hibs Ramble. Welcome along. I've got Craig. How are you, mate? I'm very well,
mate,
thank you, my friend. And I'm also joined by Ryan this week. How are you, mate?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right.
No,
Good to see Hibs winning.
thank you
So we're all
much.
good.
No Craig. Sorry, not no Craig. I'm too used to saying no Craig these days. No Sean. He is in the middle of moving house at the moment, so all the best with packing boxes and what you're doing like that. Mark, absolutely fuck knows what Mark.
There's real no mention of Mark
Fuck
anymore.
knows what Mark is up to. On the run for someone probably. So hopefully, if he's knowing,
I'm being on the pod that is rarer than
Yeah,
I have
exactly.
on the Tynecastle.
if he's knowing Guantanamo Bay, he'll maybe be on if we beat Hearts. Right, we'll jump right in it. Dundee at home, lads, on Saturday. A 2-1 win, our first league win since, I believe, the 9th of December, away to Livingston. I think I can't remember when our last home win was in the league. Was it the week before that?
Well, whoever we played before Livingston, but I can't even.
Did we beat Kelly at home the week
That was
before, or
maybe
was
it.
it
Feels like it has
the week
been
before?
a long time coming. And I was actually listening to Long Bangers. Was it Aberdeen?
It was
I was listening to
Aberdeen.
Long Bangers yesterday, and
Aberdeen.
they were saying, yeah, it's been a long time. It's been a calendar, however many months, 2 months or something. But when you think about it, we've not really had that many league games in that time because of the winter break and Scottish Cup and stuff like that. So I think things can always be spun in a positive or negative light. But I think for this pod anyway, we've got to be spinning it in a positive light because I thought, Craig, were much better on Saturday.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I've been really critical of Hibs recently, and I know I specifically put it in the chat. Like after 20-25 minutes, I was like, "Same shite, different week." I didn't. I think our main problem at the moment is persisting with this really slow playing out for the back goal kick. I know we've spoke about it, Ryan. Maybe I think it was your first pod when we spoke about that, and it's just a really pernickety thing, but it drives me insane how slow we are. And it seemed to be like the penalty was almost a catalyst for us to get going because I thought after we went 1-0 up, it was probably the most I've enjoyed a game at Easter Road this season, out with the Luzerne game. In all honesty, I thought we played really, really well, and it was only Trevor Carson that stopped it from being 4-5, maybe 6 if you want to be picky. But no, it was a really good performance, and it's a good platform to use going into tomorrow
For
night.
sure. I mean, we need to look at the system again, Ryan. Again, we're proving that 4-3-3, and I feel like I'm a broken record now every week talking about this 4-3-3, but I don't know if is this the first time that Vente and Marcondes have started in the same 11 in this system. Looking into the first half, I mean, I don't think, like Craig said, we really got going until about half an hour in. But the link up throughout the whole game, really, with Marcondes and Vente, allowing Vente to play a little bit more advanced, was certainly showing what he was more capable of, rather than having him come play at fucking left back.
Yeah, I think it absolutely benefited the team the way that we set up on Saturday. I think if you combine the midfield and the attacking third, it was probably the best team available to us in those two areas of the pitch, and it showed with the performance. I thought that despite the result, saying that it was maybe closer than it should have been, I thought we dominated every metric statistically. I thought we dominated most possessions of play, and Dundee had, was it one shot on target and scored one goal, so that can be avoided hopefully in the future. Craig spoke about obviously being a wee bit more methodical in the build-up, and I do agree with him. I think there is times where we could maybe move the ball quicker, forward a wee bit faster, and we would benefit from it. We've got the right players up there now to kind of play on that counter-attack more often. With Boyle on one side and Myziane played on the left on Saturday. We've definitely got pace up there, and if Venti stays as the focal point as number 9, we can play around them. But Marcondes, see his ball mastery, his close control, his first touch. It's as good as I've seen since somebody like Russell Latipi at the club. It's unbelievable. He manipulates the ball so well. But he's a cut above the rest quality-wise, and it's easy to see why we're going to kind of build the system around him whilst he's here.
100%. I mean, we can hark back again to the players that we've brought in January, Craig. Week on week, they're looking like they're getting better and better and better as they're coming up to more full fitness. None more so than Nathan Mariah Welch, I thought, again, was really, really good on Saturday. All action, kind of maybe his best performance in the Hibs shirt so far. His defensive and attacking work rate is completely second to none.
Yeah, no, he is. And I think a key point to probably mention is that the game almost turned when he went off. Maybe something we can discuss further on about Montgomery's in-game management. But it was definitely a great performance from him. I think the midfield, I wasn't sure how it was going to work with Marcondes because he's not your typical central midfielder. He's obviously, like Ryan says, he's that Latipi player that likes to try and play a bit further forward. But I thought the blend between the three of them worked really well. And I don't think it's any coincidence that Joe Newell's better games are coming now that he's got someone like Mariah Welch next to him who just seems to have bundles of energy. He just wants to run constantly, and I think his quality on the ball is really good as well. And I think that's what we were crying out for in January, was that sort of, when we were going into games, we had, look at the semi-final, for example, and we had guys like Josh Landers and that coming off the bench. No disrespect to these young boys, Rory Whittaker making their way in the game, but they were there through necessity rather than ability.
Yeah.
You're now looking at the squad that we've got, guys like Malida. I thought Malida was outstanding on Saturday. Luke Amos as well looked a bit sharper when he came on. I think it's key when you look at the second goal. He actually works his arse off and he almost makes an arse of it to win the ball back. And it's the way that we break from there. But no, this enlarged squad of quality is, I think now, especially when Montgomery's tweaking the system, is getting a lot out of them. And I think Mariah Welch has been a massive
I wonder if when Mariah Welch came in, because certainly when I saw him come in, I didn't expect him to be as impactful as he has. I was kind of drawing some similarities, and I'm in no way saying that he is as good as or is on the same level of, but he reminded me a little bit of John McGinn, the way that he has the ball, the way that he carries the ball, and even the way that he kicks it. It reminds me of John McGinn, like his movement, his body. Ryan, is that something that you've noticed, and did you expect him to be as impactful as he has?
I didn't actually expect him to be that impactful, given that previously he'd only kind of featured for Newport County. I think he made a couple of appearances for Bournemouth. So for him to come in straight off the bat and basically start every game that he's been at the club for, he's multifaceted, he's all action, and he can do the majority of what a midfielder should do and do it really well, as opposed to maybe having strengths and weaknesses. So I think he's a real asset in there for us just now. I can't say that I can draw many comparisons to John McGinn yet, but he's definitely got the energy and engine that he has. That McGinn had. He's been integral to the way that we've kind of performed since Celtic. Obviously played well against Celtic, went on to play against Inverness, won up to Aberdeen and got the draw. I think he's featured really heavily and really well in all those games so far. Given his age as well, I think he'll either be here for a long time or he'll go for a lot of money in the not too distant future. It's one of those guys that will never be on the periphery of the squad, sort of thing.
Yeah, maybe with Mariah Welch, this is maybe the key to this Bournemouth link-up, as in, if he comes to us if he came to us for free, but say in 2 years' time, Bournemouth buy him back for 2.5 when he's valued at 5, and then they sell him on for 10. Like, if we're going to get 18 to 24 months out of a player like that based on this tab, and again, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out tonight at the AGM. If there's going to be maybe a bit more revealed about that. I think we've discussed we're going to do a sort of episode reacting to it on Thursday, obviously tying in with the Derby sort of review as well. But if he's the type of player that we're going to get through this link up, then I don't see any negatives to it at all. If you're getting players like that for 18 months to 2 years, Marcondes as well. Like he's, you see his intelligence for the second goal is just you didn't get that. No offense, but you didn't get that if Doige is up there.
Yeah, no, and it just again harps back to then the quality of player that we're bringing in. It is all down to really to this link up that we've got with Bournemouth. But like you say, Craig, is either going to be made or broken at tonight's AGM. So we will be keeping a close eye on that. Hopefully, we'll get some updates throughout recording. But if we don't, we don't. If we do, we do. Another standout that I noticed on Saturday, considering that he hasn't kicked a ball basically for the best part of 4 weeks, was Rocky Bushiri, Ryan. I think everyone was kind of a little bit sceptical when they saw his name on the team sheet, but he did really, really well, didn't he?
Yeah, I thought he was a dominant figure throughout the game, and he showed up in the ball quite well, and his recovery pace is quite important to the way that we start attacks from the goal kicks and then look to move the ball up. If we get kind of caught out building up, then we're left isolated. So his pace is good there for the one-on-one situations. But I always think that if Rocky plays well, Hibs tend to play well. And I thought he was quite reassured in his performance. I would probably like him to be more effective at set pieces. That's more a long-term thing. I think for a guy of his size and how big and strong he is, he should probably be doing better sometimes in the opposition box. But I was glad to see him back in the team, take a wee bit of heat off Trantis. I was also glad to see him put in a good performance. I know he's got and has had a lot of critics over his time here, but that performance will definitely help kind of make it easier to get back into the team
100%.
permanently.
I think he's one of these divisive characters, really, isn't he? But no, Craig, I thought he was superb. There was no rustiness whatsoever. And like Ryan said, I mean, a lot of people have like to write Rocky off and think that he's a bit of a bomb scare, but he really can't complain after the performance that he gave on Saturday.
No, and I think it's indicative of the recruitment that we've done in January as well. It's all fine and well talking about the quality that we got in the midfield and forward areas, but we spent the entire month of January looking for centre halves, and we are now going into March, and it's still Will Fish and Rocky that are at the back. Obviously, Bevan's got another injury and he's away, so that was a pointless signing. Triantis just isn't it for me, like at all, in the games that I've seen. So you could, and for Rocky to just almost slot back in effortlessly, and even Paul when he came on with the last 10 to go. I know Dundee have been quite good up front. They've got the Bakayoko, who's a handful, and Michael Mellon as well. When he came on, he's a bit of a burly guy, and I don't recall Rocky or Will Fish being in any sort of danger for them. The only thing for me was this. When Dundee started, they went down our right a lot, and the ball was. And again, you're probably better placed to speak on it than me because it's right in front of you, even though I'm at a higher vantage point. But 2 or 3 times it once again got in behind the right back. That seems to be the case whether it's been Megwa, Whittaker, or Miller in recent weeks. But other than that, Rocky's been class. I think for the majority of the season.
I did actually notice that Miller struggled a wee bit at the start of the game.
Yeah, I thought he was one of the ones that kind of grew into the game.
100%. But then it's testament to Will Fish and Rocky whenever Lewis wasn't really quite on it or someone went past them or whatever, they were then on hand to help clean up. It feels like the defence have been a lot more solidified in playing as a team rather than playing as individuals, which we've seen quite a lot this season. So the positive signs are definitely there. Yeah, there's things to work on, but for me, we're seeing progression, and the main thing on Saturday was kind of get 3 points at all costs. We got the 3 points and we saw a half decent performance. Yeah, we probably could have, and and probably should have scored more goals. But you know, at the end of the day, 2-1 will get you the same 3 points as 4-1 or 5-1. So you know, I was happy with it. We limited a usually very, very firing Dundee to relatively little. I don't recall. Was it just one shot on target, Ryan? Yeah. So,
Yeah, just the
I mean,
goal.
obviously they scored their offside goal, but I mean, it was miles offside. But you know, that limiting them to one shot on target is impressive considering where they are in the league and how they've been playing this season. So you've got to be happy with that. But Ryan, moving on, just want to chat about the Trevor Carson foul. What an absolute calamity.
I think it's one of those ones where it gets funnier every time you watch it. But I seen it coming from the first juggle. I thought he's definitely going to take some do it here. Juggles at a second time. I thought, fucking hell, he's going to get away with this. And it's just comical the way he takes him out. And he doesn't. I don't suppose he really needs to do it because there's a lot of bodies in the way. But he's just had a rush of blood to the head. Obviously to Hibs' advantage, because I think the longer it had went on, the kind of more nervy we were maybe becoming as a crowd, and maybe even the players were becoming a little bit nervy. So it was good to kind of have something to enable us to get the breakthrough without having to cut them open and rely on the confidence that we don't necessarily have fully at the minute. So it was a wee bit of not a get out of jail free card, but it was almost like a here's one on us sort of thing. So, and it was also good that Venti stood up and took it because he's been through a little bit of a drought recently. That'll be good for his confidence. I know we're not talking about it now, but I thought the offside goal, tight. That would have done him the world of good, but however, he gets his goal, and he also got a very, very, very good assist for Myziane. Myziane still does a bit of work himself, but the through ball was beautiful.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, Craig, I want to touch back on the Carson foul. I mean, if you're Trevor Carson, you're absolutely gutted because that foul has kind of dictated his whole game. I thought, other than that, he was superb. He made great save after great save in the first and second halves. But you know, like Ryan said, a total rush of blood to the head. You've got to be gutted. I mean, if you're a neutral watching that, you've got to be gutted for him.
It was one of them, and same as Ryan. As soon as I seen he spilled it, I was like, oh, here we go. And then as soon as he's palmed it away, I think it's Fish that tries to get in. And then you just see Marcondes at the edge of the box, and you're thinking, surely no. And it's like he tries to, I don't know, he like points out as if to say he got the ball. And then as he's running back, he just puts his head. I didn't understand how he spills it initially. Like, because he actually, it's not as if he's like caught it with his fingers. And it's like, he's actually caught
and
it with
let
his
go
hands.
of it.
And then it's like he's like pushed the ball with his fingers and it's just came out his grasp. So it was, but you know what? Right, see, sometimes, especially with the run that we've been on recently,
Rub of the green that you
sort
need,
of thing,
really, isn't it?
maybe, yeah, that sort of thing, maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago, doesn't happen. Like the keeper catches it and still goes on to have a solid performance. I mean, he made a unreal save for Boyle. I think
Second
Boyle
half,
had a volley for like the edge of the box, and it wasn't even it was like his forearm that he saved it with. So no, I think neutral wise, you've got to be a bit gutted for him. But again, I think based on his performance after that, if you're a Dundee fan, obviously you're pissed off at conceding the penalty, but then he's also stopped it for being a trouncing, which I don't think either side could have complained because they offered, other than their goal, which again is a speculative hit for the edge of the box. They offered
I mean, Trevor Carson, he's a decent enough goalie. I mean, we saw it at St Mirren and we saw it at Motherwell. You know, he is a half decent keeper, and you know, it is funny. Like, it is really, really funny. It's a funny foul, but like you said, I mean, I think I would have been happy if that was a 1-0 win. You know, by hook or by crook, we would have taken to win that game. And if we'd have won it 1-0 with that penalty, I'd have been happy. And we never had another shot on target as long as we got the points. But
I think the good thing about Saturday is that, like you're saying, you take the win whatever way it comes. I think what's encouraging is that we also got a
for sure.
performance as well. We actually got, I know 2-1 on the face of it doesn't seem comfortable,
It doesn't really.
It
It
was.
doesn't really explain the tail of the tail of the game though, because at no point, up until Dundee scored, were you thinking that they could be back in this year really? And yeah, they got their offside goal, fair enough. Then their equaliser, but
You would have been very happy. You would have been very content to sit for a point if we hadn't scored as quickly as we did to conceding. Like that's just ingrained in Tony Dot. He's been around Derek McInnes for too long, so they would have been happy to just sit with the point. Rather than you've seen teams in the past like St Mirren and Livingston at the start of the season. When they got a goal, they went for another one. I don't see that in this Dundee team. So I agree. I never really thought much even after we scored. I never really felt that they were going to do anything to cause us a bit of
and I
any
think
trouble
probably
going
that's a
into
little
like the
bit
last
testament to us though as well,
minutes.
like how well we played and how well we kind of controlled the game and our defensive third and the middle third as well. I felt like we completely bossed it, and they didn't really have a look in. Dangerous players like Owen Beck and Luke McKeown. I mean, obviously McKeown scored, but they didn't really. If you'd have said, "Oh, Luke McKeown wasn't playing," I wouldn't have been able to go, "Well, I was," because
Owen Beck seemed for the was it 0-0 at Easter Road earlier on in the season. Owen Beck seemed miles off compared to what he was that day. I thought he was absolutely outstanding that day. And we drew with him, and on Saturday there, he was just completely posted missed. He didn't look fit at all.
Absolutely. I mean,
no,
it's definitely not. We'll chat about Venti's offside goal, because there's been a lot of kind of to and fro on Twitter and social media and stuff about why is that offside and stuff. But I don't want to get into a big massive conversation about VAR again, because it's every week we're on the wrong end of a VAR decision, and yes, it is offside, but when it's that tight, why do they spend as long as they do trying to? And I get it, to figure out the right decision, but what I advocate for, Ryan, is the semi-automated stuff that we saw in the World Cup. And I know that we can't afford it probably, but you don't even see that in the Premier League down south, and I just don't like. When's it going to change?
So, if they were to bring that in, would they then do away with VAR for all the other decisions? Is it just the offsides that's causing the most bother? Offside. So my point would be, if they bring that in, will they also keep VAR to run alongside it for your handballs and etc. etc. The reason that they might not want to do the semi-automated thing is purely to do with cost. I don't know about down south because they could afford it, but there's no human error involved in it. It's all done by machine, and it's perfect every time. It's onside or it's offside. It is the best example of technology that you can use for that kind of thing. But we're also struggling with the fact that our officiating isn't up to standard anyway. So we're kind of fighting the losing battle, whether it's VAR or on pitch decisions. But I mean, it's so close. However, where they're taking the lines from, is it the shirt line, is it the elbow? Like, it's just the camera angles are never straight along where it should be. It's also subjective and hard to kind of gauge whether it's on or off, regardless of what you've seen.
So the cameras are supposedly all calibrated before the game, so they're able to. So even though the line that you see, like I think the most ridiculous one's the one at Fir Park, where it's almost like on top of that boy's house, and it's not in the centre of the park. The issue for me with VAR, right, is the length of time that we're taking to reach these decisions. Like, it was a good probably 3 minutes until Venti took his penalty.
Was that not because Marcondes was down?
What are we looking for? Carson's but he wasn't doing for that little amount of time, and it's the constant checking, re-refereeing. Like, I don't. Maybe somebody else could come out and say I'm talking shite, but I don't recall any other team having as many contentious, tight offside decisions against them as we have since it came in. You think back to the first game with St Johnstone, Jair in the last minute, that we would have had a penalty. but he was off by a ball here. Melkerson, when he scored away at Kilmarnock, that subsequently now should have been onside because of the slight rewriting of the law. Boyle against Aberdeen at Hampden, and then Venti on Saturday. That's just 4 off the top of my head. And it's, I've said it before, like, if there's anything that's going to turn me off going to games, it's that. Because even at the end of the game, like, we'd organised to go out for our tea.
And then that got chopped off for offside as well, did it?
I fucking wish it had, by the way, based on where we went. Absolutely rotten. TGI Fridays, Fort Kinnaird, fucking rank. But the kind of, it's like, right, what time we get picked up? Right, I'll say about 5 o'clock, because usually I'm out the ground by then. I'm still on the ground at 5:05.
Well, that's your own fault, to be fair.
I know
You
that's
said
a
you're getting
minor
picked up at
inconvenience,
5,
but
then.
do you know what? At the end of the day, right, clubs themselves can moan and bitch and cry about VAR all they want. The only club that can legitimately moan about it would be Greenock Morton, because they were the only ones that said no. Every other club, Hibs, Hearts, Aberdeen, Rangers, Celtic, Dundee United, all of them, they all wanted it. So you reap what you sow, I'm afraid. And I do see a lot of folk on Twitter talking about it quite a lot, and that it's ruining the experience for fans going to the game. If you're watching that on the telly, and you've got the commentators talking, oh, why, what's happened here, what's happening. You're seeing constant replays of the decision. You're seeing the lines getting drawn. Kind of, if it's a red card or a penalty, you're seeing it in triple slow motion to see what happens. But us at the game, we're just kind of stood there, like, what the fuck?
Waiting on the voice of
what's
Wilkins
happening?
to tell us.
Yeah, and it's just no enjoyable in the slightest. And I think that the semi-automated one, if they can get that on the cheap, would be good, because again, that is the only non-subjective decision you can make through VAR. You're either offside or you're not. There's
Well, the
no
thing is that
grey area in
that's
between.
what it is now.
It's
There
either
is a
offside
grey
or not.
area,
Whereas,
because they're going, and it seems as if every week you're seeing a decision that's being made, and they're drawing the lines from different points on the arm or different points on the knee or whatever. It's so inconsistent, and it's not
the
just
issue
us,
is
but
the
we've
issue with
seen
that as
so
well.
many really, really poor decisions. We really have, but I'm under no illusions that every other team, apart from your ugly sisters, will be feeling just as aggrieved. I think Hearts did they have a goal chopped off against us in the 2-2 game earlier this season? Was it in that game, or was it in another, or was it? Oh, it was maybe the penalty shout or something like that. That really probably should have been a penalty.
They had the one at Motherwell, mind you,
Yeah,
and Balls
that,
got
I
kicked in
mean,
the chest.
for me,
Like, but those decisions are subjective, because some refs might like to let a physical game go a wee bit. Other refs, like that Craig Napier, he'll blow for fucking everything. Anything and everything. You see Saturday, like Beaton very rarely moved outside the centre circle unless he absolutely had to. He's one of the ones that's quite kind of contentious foul. Fuck it, I'll let play develop, see what happens. Those are subjective, and you're never going to get, handball to look at the penalty we got against Triantis, right? And then you compare it to the one that Connor Goldson against Celtic. When he's literally like that, his hands are up there blocking the ball, and it doesn't get given. The subjective ones you're never going to get rid of.
no,
I don't think, and that boils down to the complete standard of officiating in Scotland, because you see it in the Premier League, right? These boys are full
but
time.
they still have they still differ
FIFA,
with their decisions.
and they still make basic errors. So I don't know what the end game is, but VAR is not going anywhere. It needs to stay, but it needs to get better. Otherwise,
And
you're
I
going
think
to
it
turn
will
off
get
a
better,
lot
though.
of
I think
people
it will.
going to
But
games.
we'll move on from that on something a little bit more positive before we head on to our derby preview. Ryan, Myziane Malida's goal. Talk us through it. It was a thing of beauty, wasn't it?
It was lovely. It was lovely. I mean, I think it's all made in part due to the run that he makes out wide to pull the defender. They create the space for Dylan Venti to thread the ball in, which he does perfectly. Perfect weight, everything, perfect line. And yeah, I think I said earlier on about Marcondes being great with the ball and being able to manipulate. Well, Lida's similar in that way, that he's really powerful and direct, and he manipulates the ball and sells the dummy. fires into the back of the net. He's quite clinical with the chance that he has there. He knows exactly where he wants to go, which is straight to goal, and he's in no doubts about where he's going to put it. So he's absolutely clinical in front of goal from what I've seen. But it was a good team goal, if that makes sense. There was a few players involved, and it was nice on the eye. And I think it kind of put us in a wee bit more control.
I mean, and it's the goal that we've been screaming out for. The goals that we've been scoring recently have been coming off arses and etc. But I thought he'd done too much when he put Shaughnessy on his arse, but I was gladly proven wrong when he slammed it home. But Craig,
I mean, that's the second time he's sold somebody a dummy for one of his goals. He done the same up at Inverness, so it's obviously something he's got in the locker and he quite likes to do to kind of create that more space for himself. But there was no long balls; it was all kind of played on the ground, and it was one of those goals where you could kind of look at the archetypal Montgomery style football and say, well, this is the kind of way that he likes his teams to play, and the reason why. So, well, his principles intact despite the change of shape. We've seen the benefits
exactly.
of it.
I mean, Craig, it's one of these things that you were talking about with the slow build up and stuff. But sometimes it does give you really good moments. You look at that goal. You look at that goal up at Inverness as well. There's been a couple other ones that we've managed to start from the back and progress it fairly quickly. But that goal must have looked superb from where you sat.
It was class. I mean, like I said, Amos is the one who wins it back initially. And then I do think we do get a bit of a lucky ricochet off of because Rocky then almost just swings his leg at it. And I think it might be blocked by maybe one of the Dundee midfielders. But then it lands at Venti, who just knocks it back to Newell. And it's the header for Emiliano that makes it for me. That's, I know it seems very, very simple to do in effect, but he's just managed to guide that into Venti's path, and it's ironic that we've spoken so many times about Venti playing so deep, because he actually picks the ball up about probably 40 yards for our goal. So it actually worked in a sense that he dropped deep in that instance. But he's from where I've seen it, I honestly thought he'd held on to it too long. I thought he just held on to that split second too long, but then, like Ryan said before, the way to pass was just perfect. It wasn't overhit, underhit. It was right into Malida's path.
Great timing of the run as well.
It was one of those where, once he's put Shaughnessy on his arse, you're then thinking, oh, fuck, is it? I think because we're used to seeing Ellie cut in, stop, cut back out, stop, cut in, stop, that I was almost expecting him to try and sell the keeper a dummy, because he's then trying to finish at the near post. But no, I think for everybody involved, for Amos winning it back, Newell dinking it into Marcondes like that, to me, that's the type of goal I love seeing. That's a proper counter-attacking goal.
Hibs goal.
Yeah, I think we scored. I think there was a similar one, obviously different passage of play, but when Jair scored up in Dundee, when it went from back to front in about 4 or 5 seconds, like, those are the type of goals I love watching. And Malida, I thought, as I said earlier, had a great game on Saturday. Shaughnessy must have been fucking relieved when that final whistle went, because Malida tore him up time and time again, and it just shows that we've got those options in the front areas now as well, and that Malida can, I think he's almost as effective out wide as he is as a number 9, like being that focal point. But again, I do think it's good to highlight Montgomery's in-game management at times, because 2-1 up, he brings on Jair again. Like, I don't know what to be harsh, but I think, the redemption arc is on its way back down again. And if you're Dundee with 4 or 5 minutes to go, you're chasing an equaliser, and you see him come on, you think,
do you not think that he could just have been making sure that none of the important players were injured for the derby, though?
Well, no, because Ellie Ewan sat on his arse for 90 minutes. Like, even just psychologically bringing Ellie on for the last 5 minutes would maybe let the Dundee fullback rethink, all right, maybe I didn't need to go forward. I should go forward, but I can't, because if I do, he's in behind me. And like I say, the Mariah Welsh change early doors was was
I
a
don't
bit
know how
back
much
on as
football
well.
he's played this season, though, Craig. So maybe difficult to see if he's
No, I know, but I
actually
think
up
he
to
made the,
playing the full 90.
but he made the change. He was going to make the change at 1-0, and then we went 1-1, and he
Mhm.
still made the change. I think if I'm right, if I'm wrong, then oh well. But I do think his in-game management does leave a bit to be desired at times. But again, that's something that will probably come with time. We've seen it with the change of shape, changes where we're playing. All that we need to do now is somehow get rid of these fucking goal kicks, and we'll be
Yeah,
sorted.
for sure. I mean, Ryan, we're looking ahead now to the derby, a big game on Wednesday night. Are you a little bit more confident after that performance on Saturday?
Listen, you're never confident going into these games, regardless. You could be unbeaten for a year and still not have the confidence to go and beat Hearts. But I think the players will probably be a bit more confident, given they went up to Aberdeen. Probably weren't expected to get much for the game, come down the road with a draw, and then on top of getting 3 points on Saturday, as you say, it was a good performance. I mean, on every metric that I've got written down, we've absolutely dominated them. I mean, limited them to 0.37 xg in comparison to us having 2.18. So that's a large scale that you've tipped there. And Dundee, I think, as you mentioned before, are a side that usually are quite potent in front of goal. They've scored quite a few goals this season and a large number of goals in some games, 3 and 4 goals. Whereas we haven't really hit high numbers goals wise. So to go and beat a team like that are above us in the league will give us confidence, especially certain individuals like Venti getting his goal. So I suppose if I take emotion out of it, I probably do feel a bit better given the way we played on Saturday and kind of gathering a little bit of momentum as we go. Obviously, Hearts getting beat there 5-0 against Rangers could be a bit of a confidence kicker for them. It's not what you want going into a derby, so hopefully the heads are down from that on their side of things.
I mean, looking at it, Craig, I'm feeling a lot more confident than I was before a ball was kicked on Saturday. I think now it's amazing what 90 minutes can do, eh? But now we're going into that game with Mariah Welsh, who's firing all cylinders. Joe Newell again, I thought had a good game on Saturday. Hopefully he's coming into a little bit of form again. Marcondes. Is that the midfield three you go with, or do you think we need a little bit more bite?
Nah, that's the midfield three I'd go with. You've got almost a bit of everything in there. You've got the sort of tenacity and dig from Mariah Welsh, you've got the calm and poise in you, and you've got the attacking intent from Marcondes. I mean, if history's taught me anything, I mean, I've missed two derbies at Tynecastle since I started going in 1998. So history's taught me to be anything but confident. I don't think our result on Saturday makes much of a difference. The same token, I don't think Hearts getting scalped makes much of a difference. That Rangers team seemed to be clicking just now, and it was almost like they were due to give someone a scalping, and it just happened to be Hearts. I think what we sometimes forget is that if and when Celtic and Rangers turn it on, they're capable of doing that to any one of us. And we've seen in the past they've even done it to each other. So I don't think that result from their perspective will harm them too much. I do think that there might be an element of overconfidence coming for them, given the run that they've been on prior to
Do you
Saturday
think?
versus
Do
the
you
run that
think?
we've been
Do
on
you
prior
honestly
to
think that though?
Saturday.
Because I feel that every time we go into a derby, regardless of the run that either of us are on, I know it means the same to both teams, but it always seems like Hearts' whole season hinges on beating us, and that gives him
Yeah, it does.
that extra bit of
But then
belief.
I don't buy into this narrative that it means more to them. Like this whole idea that when you see folk arguing on Twitter, like, "Oh, focus on your own club." Like, dude, like, what can I focus on my own club? I'm not involved in any of the decision making at the club, so me talking about your team on Twitter makes no difference. And I think that's the same when it comes for the stands. Naturally, they'll be loud because they're at home, but I don't think it gives any bearing. I do think from their perspective, if we were to get a win tomorrow, it would hurt them far more than it would hurt us if we lost. Only because of the way that their season's gone versus our season. Like in the history of the derby, especially in my lifetime, like
These are the
tells
ones
you
that
that
we win.
if we get a win, yeah, if exactly, but not only that, but like, I mean, I've seen Hibs lose to Hearts more times than I'd care to remember. Like, what does one mere fuck it? I'm just adding another notch to the bedpost. Whereas us winning there isn't something that they
Yeah.
see a lot. And obviously, we've seen the reaction when we done it with Horgan and then Boyle. And I don't know. I would never be confident going there ever. Never ever confident going there. I've seen better teams go there and get fucking leathered. But there's, I don't know. It feels like there's something maybe in the air.
It does, doesn't it? Ryan, does it turn into a must-win for us,
Yeah.
or does it stay a must-not-win?
That's probably the hardest question to answer out of everything you've asked me so far. I think if we've got real aspirations to get not just top six but European football, then I suppose it's one of those games that you kind of have to win before you come into the split and start playing them all again. You really need to start racking the points up and trying to claw back what you've already lost out on. It's not a must-win in terms of Montgomery's job or anything like that, though. I think in terms of European football, it's one of the games that we have to win before we split off and start playing the Old Firm and Hearts and Kilmarnock again. But listen, I think the Hibs have got the quality that we could go there and show something different to what we did in the previous two derbies. Obviously, with the recruitments, the change of shape, the fact that Montgomery's been here that little bit longer now and has maybe kind of felt his way around the league a little bit, he's played everybody. So I would hope that he's probably taken something from his last trip to Tynecastle and has thought maybe I could set up differently in game, maybe I could tweak things that I maybe didn't, I left too long. So, it could be a real exciting affair, like really could be. If the two teams are going right at it, it could be one of those real fiery derbies that we've seen in the past.
That maybe I'll get to see because Sky are showing Livingston and Motherwell.
Oh, it's mad.
I mean, I totally agree. I think that
But,
Hearts are obviously they've been playing really, really well this season, and they're rightfully where they're meant to be because they've picked up that many points, they've scored that many goals. But I really do feel like we're starting to turn a corner a little bit. I feel if we can manage to get a result tomorrow, then we'll be 75% of the way around that corner. I feel, and if we can get a positive result tomorrow, I genuinely think that will kick us on from now till the split, and we'll be comfortably in the top six by the time the split comes. But
I think Montgomery needs it.
I think he needs it as well, but
don't-
I don't like what Ryan says. I don't think he
I
needs
think
it to
more
save his
from
job. I
Ryan's
think he needs it
perspective.
for just for like Hibs' sake. We've got to beat Hearts. We've not beaten them in fucking ages, man.
I don't think to save his job, but I do think that a heavy defeat tomorrow would be that last wee notch that folk, because I think in the last couple of weeks, folk who were veering on their way of Monty out are slowly coming back.
I think if we get beat tomorrow, we don't get
And I
hammered.
just feel that tomorrow's vital. If we go there tomorrow and we get turned over like it's curtains, in my opinion,
I don't think we will though.
I know Johnson somehow survived it, but I just think the tide of opinions turned on Montgomery so quickly that, for me, I know you're talking about racking up points in that, Ryan, to get into Europe and for playing these teams a game, but for me tomorrow it's must not lose. Like we absolutely, even just for morale for the players, like they should take a lot of heart for the fact that this all-conquering Hearts team went 2-0 up the last time, and we brought it back within 90 seconds of scoring one. They should also take a small amount of heart in the fact that we lost against them in December, but it took a last-minute switch off in concentration.
And there was really nothing in it.
I mean, there's a width of an A4 sheet of paper between the two teams in the two games that we've played this season. So I do think we have got it in us to turn up and give them more than a decent game. But again, it's one of those ones where it's performance over style and points over anything else. So like I say, it's coming away with 1 point is better than.
And I think Monty will realise that as well, though, Craig, with performance over style. And I think he'll realise that. Yeah, it's great to be this free flowing attacking team, but at the end of the day, these are the games that the fans mark on their calendars early doors. you always look for when the derbies are. And, you know, if we didn't win any game in the whole season, but we beat Hearts at least once, then, you know, you'd be chuffed. Which is baffling, but it's just the way that football fans are. But we will now move on to our listener questions.
Now it's time to answer the Hibs Ramble listener questions.
So, as always, we'll start with John McIntosh. Craig, you were having your dinner just off air. John wants to know what you had for your dinner, and is the top six back on?
There we go.
On our
If you're listening, John, it was a McCrispy with some fries and a double cheeseburger. There we go.
Peak shape from you, Craig. Ryan, what did you have?
Alkin.
I've not had mine yet. I'm waiting for the missus to come home, but I'm having beef stroganoff and rice.
I tell you what,
nice and
stroganoff
creamy.
is sensational, by the way. Stroganoff.
It's class. It has to be nice and creamy, yeah. Like the sauce has to be quite thick.
And to make sure that Sean's listened, I'm going to guess that he's summoned some.
Nah,
sort of
he'll be
seafood
having like
linguine.
he had like chicken and chorizo risotto last week, so aye, it'll probably be some sort of like prawn stir fry pasta, something like that.
Yeah.
And
Mark's having his box of Crayola.
For me, we've got some barbecue pulled pork tonight that we're going to chuck in some baguettes and then going to put in the oven with some cheese. So cheesy pulled pork baguettes, chips.
It's top tier.
What are you laughing at?
Just the pulled pork, cheese and baguette. We're having the cheesy pulled pork baguette.
I've not even started drinking yet, man. Next up, Billy says, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not fussed at all, 10 being lying in the shower playing Adele and sobbing, how gutted will you be when Emiliano and Myziane leave in the summer? I think I'll be 11, which is sitting in the shower with my socks on, rocking back and forward, listening to Adele.
Aye.
I've just got 2 words. Won't be back.
Yeah.
If Bill Foley's listening, you need to splash the cash, get them in, do whatever it takes.
That's the saying. As the saying goes, lads, you never ever fall in love with a lone player.
I think we probably end up falling in love with. I think over the last 3 seasons, we've probably fallen in love with one each season. If you go from COVID to now, because I mean, Will Fish technically
Egan
last
Riley
season,
as
so
well.
was Egan Riley. Yeah, Egan Riley.
Egan Riley, yeah. Riley last season as well.
Yeah.
James
Eventually.
And then this season, James Scott or Nathan Wood. Nathan Wood. So maybe discount that season. I was talking shite, but this season there's a couple of candidates.
I'll give you the 2 players that Liam has fallen head over heels for in the time that I've known him. The 2 players that he would hang his hat on to be the best players to ever play for the club were Chris Mueller and Harry McCurdy.
I stand by it.
I used to respect your opinion, bro.
There's your football high football.
Mate, I stand by it. Chris Mueller, what a guy, man.
And it's not coming from the guy that's to my left.
Me?
I've
actually got a USA Chris Mueller shirt that I got when he signed. And he was here for about 10 minutes and now he's away back. And
that YouTube compilation must have been banging.
Mate, I still keep up with how he's doing. He's been injured for a long time in MLS.
What is he, Chicago Fire or something?
He's the captain. So
yeah, mind the picture with the owl. Mind of that. The picture with the owl on the mile.
I'm a big Chris Mueller man. I'm a big Chicago man, of course. I've never been to Chicago, but I just love Chris Mueller so much. So,
loves the pizzas. Chicago pizzas.
Craig's like, oh, Chicago place? I thought it was just the fucking pizzas, man.
When you see about like the Chicago town pizzas and you think of these ones actually in Chicago, the big thick cheesy tomatoey pies that you get over there. Chris Mueller is the one that you bung in the
Oh
microwave for 2 minutes
no! Come on!
and comes out like fucking molten lava and rock solid. That is Chris Mueller.
Burn the roof of your mouth.
I'm not going to be
Chris-
back on this podcast, by the way, if I hear any more Chris Mueller slander.
Chris Mueller is like opening a chicken and mushroom pot noodle and seeing
Mate,
it
you
with
obviously
soy
weren't
sauce.
there against Arbroath.
Yeah, when he scored to make it 3-1
That
against the
was-
part-time team.
That was
And he
one of
was
the
like
best
that.
days
Fucking
of
like
my
that.
life.
Mind that time you went up to him at the sponsors?
No, he
night,
never
I pied you.
pied me. I've got a picture to prove that he never pied me. He was going, "Hey man, love the podcast, dude. Love the freaking
Hey,
podcast,
Glendale.
man." Moving swiftly on, Kevin Wilson says, much improved performance. Actually quite enjoyed some of our attacking play, and credit due for not crumbling after conceding. Delighted for Venti, he badly needed that goal, and like Ryan said, a superb assist. I think hopefully we'll now see Venti kick on, and especially with Malida, hitting top form now as well. The sky's the limit really for our attackers.
And we've got a good blend.
Although I would say that he needs to have a better penalty because that one, if the keeper goes the right
But he
way,
didn't,
is
so it's fine.
No, I know, but I mean he needs to hit it with more conviction.
This is the gripe I have when people say, "Oh, it's no a great penalty." The keeper dived the wrong way. It went in.
Yeah, no, but you can argue about whether it's been struck.
Yeah, no,
Well,
probably, but
If he's nonchalant about taking it and the goalie does go the right way,
yeah.
Aye, you needed it. I would always say have probably one of your better strikers of the ball on penalties just to hit the ball cleanly right through it. But he probably needed that more than anybody in the team. So I don't know whether it was a decision of before the game, if we get a penalty, you take it, whatever. But that's 4 goals and 3 assists in his time now. He could do with racking up a bit of numbers in the goals tally. Assists, don't mind too much as long as he's scoring. But yeah, he needs to kind of kick on and prove why we brought him in for the fee we did. We've seen flashes, but we need more consistent kind of numbers from him, given that he will be playing higher up now and not coming so deep.
Hopefully this is the start of something really good that we're going to start seeing from Don Venti again. But we've got Keith up next, and he's saying, glad to finally have a league win again and really pleased for Venti given he was being left out lately. As we see Agent Naismith make Hearts lie down against his true love, by how much are we going to lose the derby by? Fair enough. I'll tell you what, Ryan, that's bold. That's bold.
We need defeat here.
was that a 0 or a 3?
Oh, that's defeatist mentality, man. We're not going to get beat.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I mean, I think if you go into these games and go, oh, fucking, can see it far enough, then chances are that energy is going to move on to the park. But if you're going in a little bit confident, a little bit spring in your step, looking forward to it, then we're probably still going to get beat. But at least you'll be happy about it beforehand.
The narcissist in me, right, would love us to get an absolute doing, and then steal it with 2-3 minutes to go.
Yeah, but then.
But like a 1-0 1 type thing.
Yeah, that for me is the dream. I've seen how many times have we seen us play them off the park and get done?
The last derby's prime example, isn't it? We didn't play them off the park, but they win it in the last kick of the ball, basically.
I would fucking love to get a result like that over them.
Kevin Keegan.
Yeah.
I would love it.
Love it if we beat them. Love it.
Aye.
That Naismith's got to go to Rugby Park and get something.
Or Neil Warnock when he goes, I want to beat Plymouth, so fucking much, lads.
You got to for 3 points.
Die! Next up, Colin McLennan. He says, if Hibs were a breakfast cereal, who would they be and why? And I think this season, earlier in the season, we would have been Cheerios because we had strength on the outside and fuck all through the middle.
I would say, Kim, I actually thought about this when I seen it. I would say Crave expensively assembled, but leaves you like disappointed.
I don't know. I
after
quite
watch.
like Crave.
But you're paying £4 a box for effectively a bag of crisps.
So I was thinking there, Weetabix, very basic, till you put the sugar on. You got your Marcondes, Myalida. So once you put your sugar on, you're talking.
That's cracking, by the way. Your sugar, bananas.
Aye, like you just add all these wee bits and pieces, and you make it a class breakfast.
Weetabix with hot milk.
But there you go. See, there's your
That's what
Welsh.
sounds like it should be all right, but in theory, is actually shit.
What, Weetabix with hot milk? You know what I like is the Weetabix, the mini-ins.
Minis. Yeah, choco minis. Aye.
Have you had them, Ryan? They're quality.
Nah, man, I go to work in the middle of the night, so there's no time for breakfast in my house.
You need to get on the Weetabix minis train because it is leaving the station. Choo choo.
I hate for my tea.
Mate.
Yeah, cereal for tea now and again's alright, like I'm telling you.
The only thing with that cereal is that fucking you get about 2.5 bowls out of it. And it says, you get 12 portions, or whatever it is, but that's if you have like 4 of the wee bits. If you're having like proper good Liam and Craig portions, you'll only get a couple of good bowls out of it. And then you get a half, you need to mix it with fucking...
Those wee portions that they talk about, that's like if you're taking one of them and dunking it in your tea. You're getting 12
I mean, like,
fucking rich tea.
If you're left with like a half bowl, you need to mix it with something else, like fucking Cocoa Pops or something like that. I didn't mind a cereal cocktail, like it's not bad.
Fucking cereal cocktail. I've not had one for years.
That's when that's like a couple of days before payday. You got stale fucking.
What we're having for tea? Cornflakes and Frosty.
Stale as fuck. Fucking takes you half an hour to chew it.
And it's not even full bits. It's just all the bits at the bottom of the bag.
Cocoa Pops and the frosted sugar. Oh, moving on. We've got Gav Dick, and he says, honestly could have won it 3 or 4-1. Best performance for a while. Dundee showed very little. Do you think Myziane will be made permanent? I think I said it last week. I think we need to go balls to the wall for getting them in the summer. I mean, at least try.
There's not a single person, not a single Hibs fan that wouldn't want him to sign permanently. I would think, though, coming from the clubs that he's played for in the past, his wages may be a stumbling block. I know that we've got money from Belfoley, but how sustainable is it to pay somebody mass wages over a 2-3 year contract?
Why don't we get Bournemouth to sign
be a Bournemouth buy him?
Hibs
type
deal. Yeah, that's
ask Bournemouth to sign him and then
that could be
let him play for us for free for the next 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, and then he does a year or year and a half at Hibs, and he goes to Lorient in France
back to
or
Hibs.
something like that.
I'm just surmising his wages might not be that big, but I mean, he's obviously played for clubs like Hertha Berlin. They're going to be paying a lot more than probably what we would pay our highest earner. But
£10 million player as well, eh? Like if you're going for £10 million, you're getting the wages of a £10 million player.
Yeah, that's it. But I mean, you've seen the difference that some of the players have made already. So to have them over a long-term kind of period be unbelievable.
And even if this is the quality of player that we can get in, then hopefully, if they do go in the summer and we don't get them back in, we'll be able to replace them with players of similar quality. So, fingers crossed.
That's where you. Aye, that's just kind of where you hope the recruitment side of things and Brian McDermott have kind of hit their level now. They know the profile that they want. They know how to identify them, bring them in, and that's consistent. We've seen in the past couple of windows, a wee bit of scattergun, whereas this January one, I think, other than a centre half, we hit the right notes.
Next up, Harvey Scott, and this is actually a pie review. And can I just say that my pie on Saturday was absolutely cracking. I think I've cracked the code, Craig. You need to go down at like I went down. When I went down was when the penalty was given because I heard a big cheer. So I ran back through and I was like, "What's happened?" And it was a penalty. And I was like, "Oh wow, brilliant!" And so I watched the penalty and then went back down. So I think it was about 30, 32, 33 minutes or something. We got the penalty. So that's when I went down, and they must have just cooked up a new batch, and it was lad. Honestly, the pie was stupendous. But this isn't about me. This is about Harvey's pie.
It could be cooked in fucking Marco Pierre White's oven. The pies that we get are shit.
Well, my pie
plain and
wasn't it?
simple.
So shut your
Well,
fucking fat
you've got the
mouth.
palate of 3-year-olds, so your opinions are irrelevant.
Shut up, man. Honestly, fucking Flaberdeen. Right, Harvey said.
Fox
Shut
Smith,
up.
you know.
He said, "Here's my pie review from Easter Road for this season since I've had my best ever pie on Saturday. It was a mince pie, Scotch pie." He
Fuck
said,
off. Get out.
"Listen, go and don't talk to our listeners like that. These are the people that pay our wages. Temperature 5, perfect eating
Okay.
temperature. Didn't burn my mouth for once. Price 4 out of 5. Can't complain. £2.70 is not that bad. It's not actually that bad, to be fair, for a Scotch pie. Crust 4 out of 5. Nice rim, not too hard, not too soft, and the bottom stayed compact and it didn't fall apart. And the filling was 5 out of 5.
favourite, that.
Incredibly seasoned and a good amount of mince, but not too much to the point it would fall out. Decently moist mince, and he's given it an. He's given it an 18 out of 20. Obviously, he's missed out uniqueness, so you get. I mean, he's going to get a 19 out of 25 because a 1 for a Scotch pie, but decently moist mince.
Decently moist mince.
That's some
That
line,
might make
by
it
the way.
onto the next mug. Decently moist mince.
Yeah.
This one on the mug at the moment, it says, "I don't like a hard rim. I like my rims to be a little softer so I can get in easier." That's what Sean said. That's Sean's wine.
Was that Sean? What was Sean talking about when
Pies,
he spoke
obviously.
about that? Was it a
What
pie?
else would they be talking about?
So, what did he say? 270 is a good price for a
For a
pie. Is
Scotch
that
pie?
exclusively? Is that exclusively a pie at the football though,
Yeah, aye.
or a pie? I was going to say, because if that's Edinburgh prices for a pie, fuck
No,
me.
you can get half.
But if it's football pie, that's
I like getting the pies out of Aldi's and that, the wee pies that come in pack too. Chuck them in the oven for 20 minutes and then bash, your lunch sorted. Pie bash. Jeff is saying Malida needs to sign the contract. Same with Mariah Welsh. I think Mariah Welsh has already signed the contract. So, I mean,
Yeah, I checked Transfer Market today because somebody asked me, and usually if it's just on loan, it'll say like end of loan and when it ends. But for Mariah Welsh, there was
yeah,
nothing
no,
there.
he has
So
signed. He has a permanent signing, yeah. So
aye,
maybe
Yes.
get
I
him on an
think,
extended deal at the end of the season, maybe.
yeah, I think I don't know if you remember, but Jake Dollahay's got a new deal quite soon into his first season with Hibs. So was it about 6 months into his first season? So Mariah Welsh might end up the same way. You never know. 6 months down the line. There you go.
And the last question from Twitter this week has come from Albert Street. I'm not too sure if I should be saying this on the pod, but I'll say it anyway. He says HSL need shit canning, not fit for purpose, and certainly not for Hibernian FC's best interest. We will find out a lot more after tonight's AGM. Obviously, there's been a lot of chat about HSL, Craig, and how they're going to vote on the Bill Foley deal. It seems to all kind of be hanging on one man at the moment, Leslie Robb. But I think the feeling in the camp is maybe that we're going to see it go through rather than seeing it blocked.
Yeah, I think just touching on the HSL part to begin with, we have reached out to HSL to see if they'd want to come on to discuss the investment from the Black Knight Sports Group, but they've not got back to us as of yet. HSL as well, I think there's a lot of people who are not really understanding how it operates. So HSL as an entity are not making the decision to vote against amendments or resolutions 5 and 6, I believe it is, which is the dilution of shares and then also forces a compulsory share purchase if an individual reaches 80% ownership in the future, which would almost effectively wipe. So all the guys that are at the AGM tonight, these guys that hold token shareholdings to say that they own a part of the club, that would all go. That would disappear. There would be no sort of public, in a way, AGM. The issue that I've got around the HSL thing is that there's over, I believe, 4,000 members and only 80 votes were cast. And I believe it was something like 53 or 54 people voted no. So they're going to put forward no to the amendments, the resolution, 5 and 6. You could argue for days about whether HSL has been good or not. Ultimately, they didn't capitalise on any early momentum that they got. There's been next to zero from them over the past 3-4 years, maybe since COVID hit. At least I know we gave them, HSL gave the club money during COVID to sort of help with running costs and things. But yeah, I do think it is. The minute Ron Gordon took over and said that there would be no new shares issued going forward, there was no point in them existing, because they were never going to get into a position where they were going to reach the threshold to be able to block things like tonight happening if they so wish to do so. So I think I do share their concerns to a certain extent, because ultimately we all want a club to leave for our kids and grandkids to support in the future. This amendment, these amendments to the resolutions and the Articles of Association remove that from our control in a way. So I do get it to an extent, but they've not gone about it, in my opinion, the right way since even formation. I mean, they've been going for about 10 years. And again, you've barely heard from them in the last 4 or 5 years, and even then, the HSL chairman going on Sky Sports and speaking the way that he did, I don't think necessarily helped the case either.
So that is our financial correspondent, Big Leach, reporting.
Again, HSL, we have reached out to you to come on. If you do want to come on and talk to us about it, we're more than welcome to have you on to hear your thoughts on it and to get your views across.
Absolutely, but Ryan, obviously, we'll just we'll end on that note, but we'll learn a little bit more after tonight's AGM about what direction the club going in terms of the Black Knight Football Club sort of stuff. So, if it was up to you, what would you do?
Oh, for fuck's sake. I thought they must lose. Must not fucking lose. It's going to be the hardest. No, I can definitely understand the point of view that Craig's coming from. Ultimately, you want your club to have its own identity to a certain degree, and you still want to have the kind of working class background and roots of the club kind of in the fabric and the DNA of what Hibs are and what they will be in the future. So you don't want to go away from that. However, I think it's a huge opportunity that we'll probably never see again if we don't seize it just now. Otherwise, we'll always be playing catch up, because if it's not us, it could quite easily be somebody else that gets invested in that leaves us even further down the pecking order.
With St Johnstone and Motherwell having some interest.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think,
and the thing is as well is to highlight, I don't think anything like this would ever be possible for Hearts either. So as soon as James Anderson stopped pumping money in,
they
require something like 90% of the foundation to agree.
I do think that obviously with the Gordons being there, they've got the club's best intentions at heart. I think we've seen that, and they've proved it over the last 3-4 years that they've been here. So long as they work in coalition and agreement, and I suppose kind of diplomatically with each other and the retrospective parties, I think everything will be okay for the future. So, albeit a discussion is obviously going to happen at the AGM tonight, and we will know more. But I think it's an opportunity we can't turn down.
You heard it here first, folks. Ryan Melville of the Hibs Ramble says, "Get them in. Give us the money." And we'll end on that point. Thank you for listening if you've got this far. Of course, don't forget to follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. Our handle is @the Hibs Ramble. You can find us on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, all your podcast players. And once again, Craig and Ryan, thanks very much for joining me tonight. And away and enjoy your tea, Ryan. Away and enjoy your tea.
Thursday.
Cheerio. Bye.
Let's get ready to rumble.